All right. Hello. Today I'm going to be giving an overview of Google Workspace and some of the neat things you can do with it. Those of you who are not new here will know that we transitioned over the summer. A lot of people we were using Microsoft Exchange as our primary mail and calendar method, and a lot of people were used to that, and it's been a bit of a transition. So this is just to help go over some of these features that people might not be used to. All right. So first question: why did CMU switch to Google? Unrelated images. Anyway, so among the stated reasons that CMU is using Google to replace Microsoft Exchange, according to surveys done by Central IT, Google Mail and Calendar was used by 70% of the personnel or of the CMU community, that's students, faculty, staff. Maybe not necessarily for professional reasons, but as for personal use, they were using Google Mail and Calendar, so that's something people are used to using. Again, even if you weren't using it primarily, most people who come in to the university have some familiarity with it. If they're coming from a different organization, Microsoft Office is universal enough they're probably using it, but they might not be using Exchange or 365 or whatever, depending on where they're coming from. Cross-platform support. Because Google Mail is web browser based, you can use it on just about anything that can access the internet. You can access your Gmail on Windows, Mac, Linux, smart refrigerator. Large and flexible storage, quotas, and file sizes. The deal that we have with Google allows people to store mailboxes with virtually infinite space and drive on cloud drive content. And that was not the case with Microsoft Exchange Server. There was a mailbox quota. Once you filled that up, you had to delete things or you wouldn't be receiving any mail. I've been through this in other organizations. No one likes that. Easier to maintain. When everybody's using the same system, it's easier for Central IT to manage this stuff. And of course, Google, you got the whole organization. Google giving some support. And at this point, I would like to mention that a lot of things, while we are here to help, me and Carl, as the department IT people, are here to help you out with things on the ground. We don't have access to any of the server management stuff for Google that you will want to contact. You'll want to put in tickets you'll want to put in help desk tickets, and these will go to Central IT, who are going to be the people who will actually be able to help you with some of these things. But again, anything that I go over today is probably something it's obviously something that I know how to do. So that's for me. So, first part of the lecture is getting to know the Gmail interface. Now here we have a diagram of the Gmail interface, and I am going to, in just a second here, there we go. Just a second here, I'm going to show my own Gmail window. All right, so here we go. Basic rundown of what you can do with the basic Gmail interface. You can hide and show this menu depending on how much space you want. You can move around this to change the size of the reading pane, message pane. This is not the highest resolution computer, so Different views might give you better ideas of what you're looking for. Don't care about that. We got different functions of Google, or of the Google Workspace interface. We got chat, spaces, Google Meet. Mail is what most people are concerned about. We have your inbox, starred messages. This is for important mail. It's just a way to track that. You got these things here with star. You got these things here with stars. You can see them easily. That's an easy way to filter out things. Snooze Conversations. These are conversations you're not getting new, that won't show up as unread in your inbox. Sent mail. Anything that you send will be here. Now, a lot of people have had some confusion because in the past, on other email systems, if you send things to yourself, or like if you wanted to see an email that you sent, people would add themselves to their message, to their outgoing email addresses. Google Mail doesn't want you to do that. That's what the sent mailbox is for. Everything's here. Drafts, unfinished things, important. You can flag things as important. Again, it's another way to easily filter. It's an easy way to filter your messages. Spam, trash, those are self-explanatory. Now, here is something that people, okay, please stop telling me that. Here is something that people who are used to the old system are a little unfamiliar with, is the labels. This is kind of similar to what the old folders were. You can think of it in Microsoft Exchange. What you would do is when you wanted to categorize things, you would put them into folders. Instead, here in Google Mail, you add labels to them, which you can sort of think as hashtags, sort of, or as tags of a sort. So as you can see here, whenever I select a label, it shows up in the search thing. So this is so it's one way to find it, or you can click on the labels individually. Now what that doesn't do is I don't think it removes stuff from your inbox. So that's a difference. But once you get, again, most of this stuff, you can get used to it, and I think for the most part you'll find that it's helpful, or that it's a good system. Search and mail. So let's say, for instance, I want to find something that Carl sent me. Search Skipper, and as you can see, there's additional functions I can do. Has attachment from certain days or from a certain time period, let's say last 7 days, or I can change this filter. Has attachment, etc. So there's a lot of flexibility here. I can search for one of my folders. One of my folders are labels, so I have to get used to this keyboard. Label, inbox, bash. There we go. There's my label. That's one of the labels I've been using, and I search for it, and there it is. And you can click this right here to give you all of these different filters. And if you learn how to use these selectively, you find search, subject, words included, size. There's an awful lot you can do to narrow down something you're looking for. It's a lot of flexibility. This is very helpful.
By default, does it search all of your boxes?
Yes.
Trash, sent, spam.
Yeah, and if you do, yeah, it'll search all of the inbox, or all of the boxes here in this category here, and you can narrow it down using this. So search all mail, inbox, starred, etc. Mail and spam and trap. Okay, that's the one. The one exception is it doesn't by default search the spam folder,
Okay.
which generally speaking you don't want to be searching your spam. You don't want to be opening your spam. Spam is how you get Spam is how you get malware or other nasty things. So up here you've got your status for chat. As of right now, nobody I know on campus is using Google Chat, but if people start using it,
Jess and I use it.
oh, you are aware we have Slack, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the problem. This is the problem. You try to standardize one thing for everybody, and
Nope.
yeah. Anyway, settings. This is where all the fun stuff lies. You can change how the view looks. I tend to leave it there. You can change themes. This is, you can leave it default. Some people like to change this around, so the default's a little bit of an eyesore if you're working in a darker area or something like that. You got my favorite, the hacker theme. What else in settings? Set how the inbox shows up. So you can have it prioritized by date or by flags on red. Priority inbox, I'm not a fan of that one, but because then you miss things. We got reading, you can move the reading pane around. You can use conversation view. I tend not to like that one, but what it does is that if you're in an email conversation where you got a lot of replies and forwards, it shows everything as a nested string. I prefer to turn that off. I want to see each email individually, but you can use that. So up here, you've also got all settings where you've got a lot more of import. You got a lot more things that people use. Some of this stuff. Okay, now. For instance, here's a good one: vacation responder. This is where you set up automatic replies if you're out of the office. So if I'm going to be out of the office on Halloween, I'm going to be doing some hardcore trick-or-treating. Set a subject. So this will automatically reply to any emails you send during this time period. You can send a message here. It says, there you go. I'm out of the office for Candy Day. You can select who it will and won't send it to. So that's a useful feature. Email signatures.
You can actually ask a question of the
Yeah.
customer. So, like, if someone sends you an email through a mailing list, will this respond in that case? Let's say someone sends an email to all faculty, and I get an email through the faculty mailing list, and I have this thing turned on. Will everybody now? Will all faculty now get it, or the original sender will get this, or like how does this work with mailing lists?
So I think in this case it will send to mailing lists, which in this case it will send it to a mailing list, so there are other ways. If you're on a bunch of mailing lists, there are other ways to let people know you're out of the office, and I'd probably suggest that. Actually, I might just reply to sender.
It replies to each address that messages are sent from. So if you receive something from a distribution list, it will reply to that distribution list.
And then the list server will manage it when it comes back. So the list server then makes the decision whether to send your out of office to the original sender
Yeah.
or not.
And it only does it once,
Right.
is my understanding. It'll only reply once to that email address and then
Yeah.
it won't send another.
That's correct. That I do know it does. It only sends one out. It will only send one auto reply per email address. Now, if the list servers are set up correctly, which all of the ones for this department are, it shouldn't send auto replies.
Yeah, I think all of our auto replies are turned off.
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
if you're on any university-wide mailing lists, that's a different story.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the answer is hopefully. Inbox type. What's the other? What are some other things that people like? Forwarding. You can add a forwarding address here. There's another way to do this. There's another web page you can do this, but if you want to have your mail forwarded to another email account, this is one way you can do it. So if I want to have it sent to my personal Gmail, I can type. Yeah, just ignore that scroll there. But yeah, if I want to have it sent to my personal Gmail, I don't actually want to do that though. So I like to keep my stuff separate. Here you can enable Imap Access, which is something you're going to want to do if you're going to use a different email client than the web client, but I will get to that in a bit. We got add-ons. Right now we've got these ones that are part of the CMU Google Workspace. Advanced. Where is
Can you
the
actually
one?
show, have you ever used Fish Alarm?
Not that. I've used FishMe, which is a sim.
How does it work? Does it show up like if you have a mail message and you know it's phishing, can you just click the button?
Let's see.
Sorry to interrupt your settings
Yeah.
walkthrough there. I don't even know where it
Let's
shows.
see. So. I assume it'd be something in this report spam. Interface. Yeah, I don't see an obvious place to do that. It's a good question. That is something to look into. There's one other. What is the other thing? I'm trying to remember. There is. Is this an email or calendars where the setting I'm thinking of is?
What setting are you trying to find?
The one where it automatically creates calendar events. Must be in calendars. Anyway. So. That's the basics of the Gmail interface. Next, CMU email tools. And I'm just gonna go right on back. Well, actually no. So in CMU email tools, you can do the following. You can manage mail forwarding. You can create and manage your email aliases and manage your shared mailboxes. Now, let me take you through that. All right, this is the Google Workspace email tools. This is where you manage.
I'm not seeing what you're saying.
Oh, whoops. Let me. So Google Workspace email tools. This is where you manage your system-wide, or this is where you do some of the administrative system-wide mail managements. This existed before Gmail, and it's been updated, and this is now where it exists. Here, you can track your storage. As you can see right now, storage is not limited. So you don't really have to worry about this, but if you're curious how much email you're using, there you go. Spam settings, you can see whether or not You can see whether or not things that computer services knows are spam. So this is a CMU firewall. You can decide whether or not you want to be able to see them at all, or if you just want them to be blocked.
So just to be sure, so there's actually 2 layers of spam filtering. There's one at CMU,
Yeah.
and then there's the Google spam filtering.
Yeah.
So it's actually possible that you have received a message which is misclassified as spam, but it doesn't even show up in this spam folder.
Correct. If you think that you're having a problem with this, this would be the place to turn that on
Or off.
or off. But yeah, if for instance you think you're having a problem where you're not, where you know you're supposed to be receiving something from outside the university and it's just not showing up in your mailbox, this would be something to try out.
Is it possible to see the messages this has identified somewhere?
Yes. Trying to remember where.
So right there it says that spam filtered by computing services
Yeah.
is discarded, so they're gone. I think those are the questions you're asking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So no, if you turn this off, then you'll start getting them. But if it's on, you will never see them.
Okay. Okay.
So I feel like I've seen a link somewhere to view filtered spam. Maybe
It's it's possible.
Maybe I'm thinking of an older system. I know at Pitt we had a separate when Pitt IT would filter out your spam, there was a completely separate mailbox you had to go to on a different website and everything. And I don't remember off the top of my head if CMU has something like that.
Yeah, I actually saw it there. It says it's not accessible. It actually said it there.
Okay.
So yes.
Email forwarding. This is another place where you can set up, where you can have your mail forwarded to another address. You can have it bypass your Andrew account entirely, or you can have it forwarded to, again, let's say, personal or anywhere else. But if you choose the bottom option here, you'll see that it still delivers it to your Andrew and at andrew.cmu.edu mail address. So I would suggest not doing the middle option, do the bottom option if you're going to do mail forwarding this way. So another place where you can manage email addresses. This is also where you go if you want to create an email alias. So if you want to have your own, let's say, Michael M at cmu.edu. I am fine with my Andrew ID, but that is a place you can do that. Shared mailboxes. If you are a delegate on a shared mailbox, and I will go into that a little bit more. If you're a delegate in a shared mailbox, you'll see which ones you're a member of, and you can manage options for that here. And mailing lists. That option, this mailing lists option here, what it does is it just redirects you to list.andrew.cmu.edu, and here you see, once it loads, you can see which email lists you're a member of. List.andrew.cmu is a terrible website. Personal opinion, editorial here. So, for instance, these are the ones I'm in. Staff, stat staff, deep computing groups.
These are the ones you're subscribed to, just to be clear, not the ones that you administer.
Correct. Correct. If you happen to be the administrator of an email list, there's also this Administer My Lists option. I have quite a few more of those than I do things I'm subscribed to. As you can see, when people ask about D-lists and stuff, this is where all of that happens. This is where all that magic happens. Anywho, now that we've done that, let's talk about calendars. So here we have a nice diagram of the Google Calendar. And go right on ahead and look at my Google Calendar. So, main menu. You can hide this just to give you extra view here, or extra space here of the calendar. Time insights, do not care about that, but if you are interested in how much time, if you want to complain to somebody about how much time you spend in meetings, there's an easy way to track that. Create events, set office hours, or out of office. As you can see, there's an option here. Here there's an option to set working locations. You can subscribe to multiple calendars and turn the views on and off this way. So, stat. So here's the department calendar. If anybody does not have access, if anybody watching these does not have access to these two calendars in particular, StatDS and StatDS Seminar, these are the main department calendars. This is what we are using going forward to do meetings. So please email remarks@stat.edu if you don't have access to these two calendars, and we'll help you out with that. I've also got, because I'm one of the administrators, I have all of the meeting rooms here. And if you are curious, if you can use 232 for instance, you can check this and see there's stuff going on at 11:30, 1:30, and 3.
So
Or
those,
11:30, yeah. Also pay attention to these colored dots next to all of the items, because that is the different calendars you're on. Go on.
No, never mind, sorry.
You should probably point out about the room calendar, so what's the plan with those? You'll be able to have access like this, or how are those going to be accessible to people?
I don't think we've reached a decision on that yet.
Yeah, we haven't reached a decision. I can tell you what is going on right now is that all of the department staff have access to add events to it and manage sharing. The plan, once we get the new door ID, the new door calendar set up, they will be on display there. Currently, our current ones don't interface with this yet. That's something that was supposed to happen this summer and didn't.
I think it's coming soon.
Supply
Yeah.
chain, yep.
Yeah. Supply chain.
But anyways, the plan was that there would be like a website that has all of the room availability.
And that is the other thing, is that it's the idea, that's the other idea, is that I think that was what the plan is to add all of these to the department website.
Yes, these will be listed as separate calendars for each room on one page on the website.
Yeah.
Embedded,
Not-
yeah, embedded on the website, yeah. You got a couple different view options. You've got the extensions here, tasks, contacts, maps. That's over on the left, or on the right side, as opposed to the left side that it was in the mail. Let's see. And once again, we got our settings. Settings. Okay, you got your general settings here, including where you are in the world, what time zone you prefer to use, time format. We got our 12-hour clock versus 24-hour clock, time zones, world clocks if you want them. Event settings here, you set if you create an event, you can set how long you want it to be by default here. You can always change it when you create an event. Actually, let me go back and demonstrate that, because I didn't do that. So create an event. Add title. Michael's event. We are gonna do that on Saturday, just for argument's sake. 12:30 to 1:30, sure. Click here to choose your time frame or change date. Actually, yeah, let's do Wednesday. Why not? Time zone. You can make this. You can choose repeat settings here. So if you want to automatically create something that does, or if you want to change, if you want to create a recurring event, say a department meeting, say a department committee meeting, you can set up repetition there. Add guests, this is where you invite people. You can type in any email address or contact name.
Just type me in.
Computing. Got it. And the other neat thing is that once you add guests, you have the option to find out to find out a time that fits in with your schedule, and their schedule doesn't conflict with events that they already have on their calendar, if they're using their calendar. Google Meet. It does this automatically. Nobody at the university uses Google Meet. Get rid of it. You can add a location. If the room has a calendar or email address associated with it, you can search for it here. There you go. It's 232M, for example. Location, if it's not associated with a specific account, you can add a location there. Description. And down here at the bottom, you can change if you want to show up as busy on the calendar or on your personal calendar. Discard. Not doing that. All right.
So can I ask about that? So is that how, like, if you add someone there, then they will let me send an email to others? Like, that's how you get create like
Yeah, that sends email invites to everybody that's in the yeah, and everybody that you do in this add guest section sends email invites to them. Now, again, if you do it to another Gmail account, it's going to automatically try to set up a Google Meet thing. So again, get rid of it. Zoom's too embedded in everybody's lives right now for us to switch to Google Meet now. So just use Zoom.
And the primary reason people have mentioned is that if you don't get rid of that Google Meet link, people get confused.
Yeah.
And when they go to click join, there's two different join buttons with the Zoom Meet. So you can use Google Meet, but it's best just to get rid of that option.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to add Zoom links? Like I know that some people have some fancy way of like adding Zoom links to this or creating calendar invites.
Does this have Zoom on it?
What's the
Hold
best
on.
way to do that?
I believe it does.
Okay. Join a meeting, sign in. So the way I like to set up Google or Zoom links is okay. Anyway, I like to create my, so I like to schedule my Zoom meetings in the Zoom app, and then this is gonna take forever. I use the Zoom app to schedule the meeting there, and then copy paste the link into the event information or copy pasted
Do you
it.
want to use mine to demonstrate it? Because I have my Zoom up.
Sure.
Just want to plug it in, you can, I don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it, what is it doing?
It's thinking about doing things.
There we go. Yeah, schedule. So, or yeah, Zoom interface. Schedule down here. Do your meeting settings.
Oh, it says Google Calendar. Sweet.
It does have the option to do this. I find that it gives me errors when I do this, but anyway, I create the meeting. And then
Oh, nice.
I create the meeting and then copy this link here and add it to the, okay, it works for you. I don't know why it doesn't work for me, but yeah, as you can see, it adds the invitation to the event details.
But it looks like it's now creating a Google Calendar even, which is nice. I think I've seen people use this, so,
Yeah,
okay,
The other way, at least that I've done, is if I'm scheduling meetings and somebody has their own Zoom that they want to use, you copy their individual Zoom link. Because once you set up a Zoom account, you get your own personal Zoom link.
yeah.
You copy that link and just paste it in the description and say, please join us via
Yeah,
Zoom.
yeah.
There's the link.
yeah. The thing I always end up having to do, because for some reason my calendar, I think I got to sync. I guess I got to add the calendar this way is what I've got to do. But you can also, if you have a meeting set up, you got these dots here, copy invitation, and that copies the invitation. Add it to the event details in your calendar event. So go back to create an event. Description. No, I don't want attachments. Oh, you can do attachments if you want, but so if you want to add a Google Doc or notes or something there, that's the place to do that. But yeah, here where it says add description, that's where you would copy paste the Zoom link. That's what I like. That's how I do it. Or you can use the add-on authorize, which you have to go through some steps. But yes, if anyone wants help with that, I can assist. Now settings.
I think it would be good if we actually like create maybe a wiki or like some tutorial, because I think it would make everybody's lives much easier if we actually have like a systematic way of creating Zoom meeting invites. And way that everybody would use the same standard way. I think that would simplify things a lot.
Yeah, that's something we should do, that's something we can definitely do in the future. It's again a little bit out of the scope of the presentation, or like what I'm doing right now, but yeah, we'll work on that. Maybe have another presentation about this. So down here in your general settings, you can either, so another thing, you can either scroll through all of these, or you can click, scroll down. Here's another one. If you want to do it, you can set your schedule. Now I know some people, as a privacy thing, don't want to do this, but you can set the schedules so it says when you are in the office and when you aren't in the office. Enable working hours would say these hours. Again, it's a privacy thing for some people, completely optional. Set a location, again, privacy, it's up to you if you want to do that or not. Add-ons.
So do those working hours and days, do those appear on your free busy calendar?
Yeah.
Okay.
And events from Gmail, this is one that has been a point of contention for a lot of people who work with, especially people who are doing a lot of travel planning and stuff like that. There are a lot of people in the department who have been getting a lot of random messages about so-and-so is going to the airport at this time, it has a flight at this time and so forth. You can turn that off here. If you have it on, it will, if it sees a date and time in your Gmail, it will create an event for it.
And so this is a setting that's also, if you have, and you'll talk about this in a second, I'm sure, but if you have this set up through a third-party client like Apple Mail
Mhm.
or Mac Mail or Calendar or Microsoft Mail or Calendar, those will still look through your mail and try and add things if you're using Cortana or Siri.
Yes.
Right, so ignore this setting. This is just for Gmail automatic doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want Cortana or Siri to not do that, you have to choose those options through Cortana or Siri. Or you have to do that through the Cortana or Siri options. Bixby, so on.
So can I ask about that availability visiting? So which part of this can others see? Like you talked about the privacy stuff. So like, what how do you know what others can see and what others cannot see?
So you go to, so down here, you got the options for the calendars. So below the general options, you got the options for your calendars here. So you look for your personal calendar and scroll down to access permissions for events. This is where you set who can and can't see your details. So right now, people with CMU email addresses can see when I'm free and busy. I can make it so that they can see event details, or I can turn this off entirely so no one can see what I'm up to. Now,
So by default it's like this. So basically, like if people don't turn this off, like anything you put in a calendar, people will be able to see whether it's there or not.
yeah, you're gonna want to check this. So settings, find your calendar down here, go to access permissions for events. This is also,
Sorry, I've seen defaults set differently for different people, so I would
Yeah.
definitely go through and check this.
yeah. You also can share your calendar with people here. You can choose a specific person here where it says share with specific people, or you can get a link where you can send a link to somebody and they can see your calendar. You can set the default time by if you have it set, if you have a device or your web browser set to give you notifications for calendar events, you can set how long before the event it'll give you that notification here, or you can turn it off. I like to get notifications 15 minutes before the event. More notification settings down here. You got some embedding codes here. That's more advanced settings. Let's see what else So next thing I wanted to talk about was using clients. I am about to run over time, so I'm going to spend less time on this than I initially planned. But here's the basic rundown of it. If you want to use Outlook for email, you can on Windows or Mac. If you do it on Windows, you have to use an extension called Google Workspace Sync. If you want to do it for Mac, you have to set it to the old Outlook view and add it through the add account. Do it through add Gmail account as opposed to add exchange. It'll try to add it as an Exchange account. There are quirks for both of these, is the short version of this. I've had it work just fine on my computer, and then other people have had complete disasters happen when they tried to add. Yeah.
All of those desktop and clients, they don't allow the notion of labels, right? They only have folders. Is there any desktop client that does labels analogous to what's going on in
the folders? So it will sync your folders with, if you create a folder in the desktop app, it'll sync it as a label in the online client.
If you have a message that you label with multiple labels, which does it duplicate the message on your desktop app into all of the folders that correspond to the labels?
That I don't.
I think it does, but I'm not.
I don't think it I think it just displays the message in
Yeah.
both. I don't think it copies the message to both.
Yeah.
So to sort of answer the question, if you were to look through one of these at the folder structure,
Mhm.
I don't know how it would operate.
Yeah. For instance, the labels that I showed were created as folders in Outlook, and they when I open them in the web interface, they show up as labels instead. If you're using Mac, your best option, if you want to use a client instead of just the web interface, is Apple Mail and Calendar. Works the same, basically the same app on Mac as it is on iOS, and it works for both of those. If you're a Thunderbird person or you've got some other email client that you like, what you will have to do is set up Imap. So going back to the calendar settings here, you have to enable forwarding to an Imap client, and then you'll have to manually configure the incoming and outgoing servers in your email client's manual configuration settings. So you have to turn on SSL, set the server name, which are Imap and SMTP respectively. You'll have to enable the SSL port. It's a whole thing, but it can be done. There's a link to it on the Carnegie Mellon. You can either go through the Carnegie Mellon email help page, or you can go down here in forwarding in Gmail settings, forwarding and Imap configuration instructions. So those are your options for that. Now, if you go back, actually, before I reopen this folder, now, the one other button that I haven't talked about up here, actually two others, this is where you choose your account. If you got more than one Google account, this is where you switch them. On this computer, I only have the Matula at Andrew, but on my other computers, for instance, I have my personal Google account here, so that would show up here if you want to make sure you're looking at the right one. While you're in Gmail, you'll always see this Carnegie Mellon thing next to you'll see this Carnegie Mellon thing next to your account icon if you're on the Andrew email.
Can I mention one thing that's been very frustrating for me?
Yeah.
So if you're using Chrome has profiles built in.
Oh yeah.
So
this is different. So this is Gmail. This is Chrome. Try not to get them confused because
they're the same.
Because they look the same.
So I had one profile set up, foolishly thinking that I could use everything easily under that. So if I go to add Carnegie Mellon calendar invite through Chrome, signed in under my regular profile, it will go to the default email account that I've set. So it'll try and set it to my personal email.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I cancel that, there's a series of steps you have to go through. So it's ideal, for me anyway, to have one profile in Chrome for each different mail and switch that way,
Okay.
rather than switch at the email level. Your mileage
That's-
vary.
There's that.
I've
on the
never
other
been able
hand-
to get that to work.
It's-
That has always.
On the other hand, if you have multiple profiles, whenever you open a new Chrome window, it prompts you which profile you want to open, and I find that to be more of a pain in the ass than switching Gmails. So it's a personal preference thing.
Yes. But just, I guess the bottom line is don't get those two confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all configurable. Like some of this stuff you have to look for, but a lot of it's configurable. Right. I got off track and forgot what I was going to do. So the other button I was going to talk about, up here, you've got the other Google apps that you have access to. So through Google Workspace, we have access to everything up here, and I'll talk very briefly about what we've got. So, Google Drive, is it? Google Drive, the triangular icon there. I should have made this picture bigger. Has cloud storage, unlimited, virtually unlimited as far as Carnegie Mellon is concerned. if you are required to have FERPA compliant storage for student records, student or class records, it is FERPA compliant, according to Carnegie Mellon. So it's secure in that sense. There's also the option to create a shared drive, in which case it's not owned by anybody in particular, you just are a member of the shared group. There is a link to set that up on the central IT page.
So can I ask about the FERPA? So is it so that this only applies if you use the CMU Google
Only
Drive
applies
and
if
not the
yeah,
general
yeah.
Google Drive?
Yeah.
So for example, like if you have a Google Doc where you maintain some student information, like in order to be actually compliant, it needs to be in the CMU Google Drive and
Correct.
not your personal
Correct.
Google Drive.
Which is important, because if you have the Google Drive app syncing files on your desktop, which I think is maybe not FERPA compliant to start with, then you want to make sure that it's syncing the Google Drive for CMU and not for your personal account.
Yeah. I guess the caveat here is strictly online.
Or is it possible to sync two Google Drive accounts to one desktop in like two
Yeah.
separate folders?
That's a complex thing.
Yeah, you can, but
It's not easy to set up, because I'm going through that.
are you?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that at the moment.
Tell us if you figure it out.
I'll let you know, but you have to pay for the FERPA compliant security, which is what CMU pays for. Regular Google Drive doesn't come with that security automatically.
So is it more true also that like this CMU Google Drive kind of lives inside of the CMU network? So let's say you have some government information or like some kind of extra information that only can live within CMU servers. Would this be compliant with that or not?
I'm gonna say probably if it's classified or secure, government security, I would say probably not.
Yeah,
Strictly.
this is only FERPA compliant. It's not HIPAA compliant. It's not DoD
Yeah,
compliant or
yeah.
anything like that. Okay.
All right, and next we've also, you don't need to be a CMU Workspace member, but if you're unaware, Google has a Microsoft Office alternative. We've got Google Docs, which is Word, Google Sheets, which is Excel, Google Slides, which is PowerPoint. Nice thing about them is that they're easy to access on any networked computer. They're not, everything looks a little different, and they're not necessarily as robust as as Microsoft Office is, but you have that as an option. Google Forms. It's a great way to create surveys, RSVPs, list items, so forth. That is that one. Got no idea if the people on broadcast can see what I'm pointing at. But.
Yeah, it looks good.
Google Sites creates basic web pages and wikis. I don't know much about using it, but it's there.
It's straightforward.
You don't have to know HTML. So
Yeah,
if
you don't
want a
have to know
website,
HTML.
It's really easy to use.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you
the
get-
nice thing about website designers.
Do you get a CMU URL for that if you create it in the CMU Google?
Yes.
Guys?
I think you can if it's not automatic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's configurable. I think the URL that you create, or that for the web page you create, is configurable, or you can transfer the code to another hosted web page. And then groups, you can create email groups, forum style posts. Google Groups is, for those of you who were alive at the same time as dinosaurs, it's an updated sort of Usenet system. And if you weren't, then yeah, email groups. Email groups and like sort of forum posts type thing. Other topics. So I was asked specifically about mail merge, and the way to do that. So if you don't know, mail merge is where you create a list of names and then a personalized email with their, and then you send out a mass email with all of these sort of personalized information in it. So a way to do that is to create a Google Sheet with the names that you have in it, and if you have it in a different thing, Excel, you're going to want to just copy and paste the cells. So you want to highlight all this stuff, and where did I find this? Email. Where is it? Extensions? Is it extensions? Sheets mail merge.
I think it's add-ons.
That is not what I was looking for. Where?
I think it's an add-on, so I don't know if that's an extension.
Oh man,
I haven't done it. I
had
haven't done a
this.
mail merge in Gmail in a second.
I had this, and then. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, maybe it's an extension.
Extensions app script.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to do that, you can search for. Not there. Get add-ons. You got some options. I thought I saw a way to do it built in, and now I can't find the option for it. Anyway, I already talked about Google Meet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was doing something else here. If you want to do mail merge,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend using CMU's mass mail service.
Okay.
So if you just Google CMU mass mail, it comes up with an Excel template that you download and fill in, and then you submit it to the same site
Mhm.
with your message that you want to send to everybody.
Okay. So, yeah. So thematically, Google Meet. Don't say the magic. You didn't say the magic word. All right, and any final questions? Because I have gone rather over time. So, anybody else?
It's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
Does anybody use the tasks, the Google Tasks? I was thinking about trying that, because I currently just keep my tasks on like a text file. Is it useful, or is it more trouble than it's worth?
It's what you put into it's what you'll get out of it. Like most of the Google features, I don't use it, but yeah. If you need to be reminded, like if you need to have automatic reminders of your tasks and things like that, that's what it's useful for. If you just want a list somewhere and you can check things off, I mean, you might as well just create a document or whatever.
Okay.
So I've been trying to use it. I think it's okay. The problem is that it's the same as with any task list, that it reminds me after a while because it just gets so long and I don't get it full anymore.
Yeah.
So I've tried to use it. I think it's like, it's a fair, fair.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all integrated. It's always on the side.
Yeah.
So.
But that's the only integration, it just happens to be there. There's no.
I'm sure it has
miss
more.
anything.
I'm sure there's a lot of different.
I've never heard of it, so.
Yeah, it's like actually the button there on the bottom right. I don't think on the other side. So it's kind of. Yeah, it's always there. So.
Did I miss anything I wanted to cover? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot here to go through. You can get really deep into this stuff if you want to. Like I said, I think the thing about Google Suite is that the amount of effort you put into making it your own will come back around.
I think the other important thing here is that you've covered like the core of what we'll be working with, and there's lots of services that Google turns on and off arbitrarily.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful getting too invested in those sort of activities. Like Google Groups has changed a little bit over the years. What was their social network?
Google Chat
Oh,
was
Google
Hangouts.
Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, Google
Yeah,
Plus.
see, everybody- everybody wants something
Yeah.
different.
Google Meet was formerly Google Hangouts.
So wisely choose where you put your energy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
keep it to the core.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Gmail itself is probably too much of a core service for. I want to believe that Gmail is too much of a core service for Google to screw up, but